Okay, before we start, I want to ask you something personal, and I want you to answer honestly in your mind. Have you ever walked into an airport feeling prepared, maybe even proud of your English level? And then, the moment you stood in front of the check-in counter, your confidence slowly melted away, and your brain suddenly felt empty?
Emma, I'm smiling because that has happened to me more times than I want to admit. From the outside, I look calm and organized. But inside, my head, there's a full debate happening. I'm thinking, don't make a mistake. Don't say something awkward. Don't forget a basic word. And the pressure itself creates the problem.
That internal pressure is so real. And I know many listeners feel it too. Welcome back, everyone, to our comfortable English space, where real communication matters more than sounding impressive. I'm Emma.
And I'm Max. Today, we are guiding you through airport English step by step, from the check-in counter all the way to boarding the plane. And we're doing it in a way that feels practical, supportive, and human.
Yes, because airports are not classrooms. Nobody is grading your grammar. The staff simply need clear information so you can move forward in your journey. And if you stay with us until the end, I'm going to share one sentence that instantly changes how people respond to you during boarding.
Before we dive in, tell us something. What city are you listening from today? I love reading those comments because it reminds us that this community stretches across continents.
And if you want to handle real situations in English with more ease, join us. This space is for learners who want courage, not perfection. Now, imagine this moment. You enter the airport. There's movement everywhere. Screens flashing departure times. Announcements echoing in the background. You check your documents again, even though you already checked them 5 times at home. And as you approach the counter, your heart beats a little faster.
Yes, and the strange part is that the questions at check-in are usually simple, but in that moment, they feel complicated because your mind is overloaded.
Let me share something that happened to me. I once arrived fully prepared, passport ready, ticket ready, everything organized. The staff member smiled and asked a basic question. Window or aisle? And instead of answering smoothly, my brain froze. I stared for a second too long and said, yes.
Emma, that is painful and funny at the same time.
I know. And immediately I realized my mistake. I meant to say window, but anxiety answered before logic did. That experience taught me something powerful. Stress makes small decisions feel dramatic.
I had a similar moment. A staff member asked, "Did you pack your bags yourself?" Instead of calmly saying, "Yes, I did," I began explaining my entire packing routine. Halfway through my explanation, I realized I sounded ridiculous. They only needed confirmation, not my life story.
That's such an important lesson. At the check-in counter, shorter responses are stronger responses. When they ask, "Did you pack your bags yourself?" the natural answer is, "Yes, I did." When they ask, "How many bags are you checking?" you can simply say, "1 suitcase." Clarity wins every time. Let's slow this down and examine the most common questions you'll hear. They might say, "May I see your passport?" You respond, "Sure," and hand it over calmly. They might ask, "Do you have any bags to check?" You reply, "Yes, 1 suitcase," or "No, only carry-on." They might ask, Would you prefer a window or aisle seat? You answer with your preference and add, please. That's the entire exchange in most cases.
When you break it down like that, it sounds manageable. The fear usually comes from imagination, not reality.
Exactly. And here's a mindset shift that changes everything. You are not there to impress anyone. You are there to travel. The staff repeat these same questions hundreds of times every day. They expect short, clear answers.
And if you don't understand something, instead of pretending, say, "Sorry, could you repeat that?" That sentence protects you from confusion. The first time I traveled, I pretended I understood everything because I felt embarrassed. That decision created unnecessary stress later.
Admitting that you need clarification is mature communication. It shows awareness, not weakness. Airport employees are used to hearing different accents and levels of fluency. You are not unusual in that space. Let's practice together in a more natural flow. I'll act as the check-in agent. Good morning. May I see your passport?
Good morning, sure. See how calm that sounds?
Did you pack your bags yourself?
Yes, I did.
Would you like a window or aisle seat?
A window seat, please.
Notice how complete sentences feel stable when spoken slowly. There is no rush. Breathing matters. Tone matters more than advanced vocabulary.
Emma, can I add something important here?
Of course.
Many learners think confidence means speaking fast. But in travel situations, speaking steadily creates more authority. When your pace is controlled, people listen more carefully.
That's such a strong point. Slow speech often sounds more secure than rushed speech. So instead of trying to sound advanced, focus on sounding composed. Now, here's your small challenge. I want you to say this full sentence out loud, slowly, as if you are holding your passport in your hand. I would like a window seat, please. Pause. Breathe. Say it again. That repetition builds comfort before the real moment happens.
And stay with us, because next, we're walking into security, the place that feels intimidating but is actually predictable once you understand the pattern.
And remember, the powerful sentence that transforms your boarding experience is still coming later.
All right, so we survived the check-in counter with dignity. But Emma, can we talk about the place where even confident travelers suddenly feel like they are about to be evaluated by secret agents?
You mean security?
Yes, the trays, the belt, the scanning machine, the serious faces. For some reason, that area feels intense, even though nothing dramatic is happening.
That feeling is very common. And I think the reason security feels overwhelming is not because the English is complicated, but because everything is happening quickly. People are moving. Instructions are being repeated. There is a sense of urgency in the air. And when your brain sees speed, it reacts with stress.
That's true. The first time I went through airport security alone, I remember standing there watching everyone else carefully, trying to copy their actions because I was too nervous to focus on the words.
I've done the same thing. Observing others can actually help because airport procedures are very visual. Even if you miss a few words, you can understand from context. If everyone is taking off their jackets, you know what to do. If everyone is placing laptops in separate trays, that's your clue.
But let's talk about the English you might hear there, because once you recognize the common phrases, your stress level drops immediately.
Absolutely! You will often hear sentences like, "Please place your bags on the belt," or "Remove your laptop from your bag." Sometimes they'll say, "Take off your shoes and put them in the tray." These instructions may sound fast, but the vocabulary is basic.
And here is something important for our listeners. You do not need to understand every single word in the sentence. You only need to catch the key action words. For example, if you hear remove and laptop, that's enough information.
Yes, focus on key words. Belt, shoes, laptop, pockets, tray. Those words appear again and again in airports around the world.
Emma, I need to confess something slightly embarrassing.
Oh no, I'm ready.
One time the officer said, "Empty your pockets." And I understood the words, but my brain added unnecessary drama. I thought maybe something serious was happening. So I stood there frozen for a second too long.
That pause probably felt like 5 minutes.
Exactly. In reality, it was 2 seconds, but in my mind, it was an eternity.
That's a powerful example of how imagination makes situations heavier than they are. Empty your pockets simply means take out your phone, coins, keys, maybe a receipt, and place them in the tray. Nothing more. Let's do a small role play so everyone listening can feel the rhythm of natural responses. I'll be the security officer. "Sir, please place your bag on the belt."
Okay. Notice how I didn't give a long explanation. I just followed the instruction.
"Remove your jacket and put it in the tray."
Sure. Again, calm and cooperative.
If you're unsure about something, you can say, "Is this okay?" That sentence is extremely helpful. It invites confirmation without sounding defensive.
Yes, I use that often. Is this okay? Or should I take this out? Those questions show that you are trying to follow the rules.
Now, I know some of you are thinking, what if they speak too fast and I don't catch the instruction? That's a valid concern.
In that case, you can say, "Sorry, could you repeat that?" Or even, "Sorry, I'm a little nervous." Believe it or not, that honesty can soften the interaction immediately.
I once said that exact sentence. I told the officer, "Sorry, I'm feeling a bit anxious." And his tone changed instantly. He slowed down and gave the instructions more clearly.
That shows something important. Airport staff are human beings. They deal with travelers all day. When you communicate openly, they usually respond with understanding.
Let's also talk about liquids, because this is where confusion often happens. You might hear, "You cannot take liquids over 100 milliliters." That rule is common in many countries. If you accidentally bring a large bottle, they may say, "You need to discard this."
The first time that happened to me, I tried to explain why I needed the product. Halfway through my explanation, I realized rules are not negotiable in that space. So I smiled, accepted it, and moved on.
That's maturity in travel. Sometimes the best English is accepting the situation calmly. You can say, "Okay, thank you," and continue forward.
Emma, can I interrupt for a second?
Go ahead.
Some learners overthink their accent during security checks. They worry that pronunciation mistakes will create problems. But honestly, as long as your message is clear and your behavior is respectful, accent is rarely an issue.
That's a reassuring point. Airports are international spaces. Staff hear dozens of accents every hour. The goal is cooperation, not perfection. Let me ask our listeners something quickly. Have you ever had a funny or stressful moment at airport security? I would love to read those stories. Share them in the comments, because when we laugh about these experiences, they lose their power over us.
Yes, and if this conversation is helping you visualize the process more clearly, let us know. Your feedback shapes future episodes.
Now, once you pass security, there is usually a noticeable shift in your energy. You feel lighter. You breathe more freely. But we are not finished yet. The next stage involves announcements, gate changes, and listening carefully in a noisy environment.
And that's where many learners struggle again, not because they lack vocabulary, but because announcements are fast and echo through large spaces.
Stay with us, because in the next section, we're going to break down airport announcements in a way that makes them manageable. And remember, the sentence that transforms your boarding experience is still coming. All right, take a deep breath with me for a moment, because we have reached that stage of the airport where things feel calm on the outside, but slightly chaotic on the inside. The waiting area near your gate, where announcements echo above you, and every sound suddenly feels important.
Yes, and this is where people start listening with panic instead of focus. You hear a long sentence over the speaker, and instead of catching the key information, your brain reacts with, "Oh no, what did they just say?"
Exactly. So, let's remove that fear right now. Airport announcements may sound long, but they usually contain only 3 pieces of information that truly matter to you: the destination, the flight number, and the gate number. Everything else is extra detail.
When I finally understood that, my stress level dropped immediately. Instead of trying to decode every word, I trained myself to listen only for those 3 elements. For example, if I hear, "Passengers traveling to Toronto on flight AC214, please proceed to gate 32," my brain only highlights Toronto, AC214, and gate 32.
That's the technique. You are not translating a speech. You are collecting signals. Destination, flight number, gate. That's it.
Emma, can I admit something again?
I'm ready. Go ahead.
Once I walked confidently to the wrong gate because I was too shy to confirm the number. I saw a crowd forming and assumed it was my flight. After standing in line for 10 minutes, I realized they were boarding a plane to a completely different country.
Oh no.
Yes, and the lesson was simple. Asking a question is faster than making an assumption. A small sentence like, "Is this the line for flight AC214?" can save you from a big mistake.
That sentence is powerful. Let's give our listeners a few more useful ones for this stage of the journey. You can say, "Excuse me, where is gate 32?" You can ask, "Has boarding started yet?" You can confirm, "Am I in the correct line?" All of these are natural, respectful, and clear. Now, let's talk about boarding groups, because that announcement can confuse people too. You might hear something like, "We are now boarding Group 1, followed by, "Group 2 may now line up." If your boarding pass says Group 3, you simply wait. There is no hidden meaning behind it.
That's important because sometimes anxiety creates imaginary urgency. You see people standing up and you think you're missing something, but often they are just eager travelers.
Yes, airports contain many eager travelers.
Emma, what about the moment you finally reach the airplane door and the flight attendant says, "Welcome aboard"?
That's actually one of my favorite moments. You smile and respond, "Thank you." That's enough. You do not need to start a conversation unless you want to.
And if you need assistance, you can say, "Could you help me with my bag?" Or, "I think I'm in the wrong seat." These sentences are practical and polite.
Now, here comes the sentence I promised earlier, the one that changes the energy of the interaction. If you feel nervous or unsure, you can say, "It's my first time flying alone." That single sentence creates context. It explains your behavior. It invites patience.
That sentence works because it humanizes you. Once I said something similar when I felt anxious. I told a flight attendant, "I get a little nervous during takeoff." She checked on me twice during the flight without me asking again.
Communication builds connection. When people understand your situation, they respond differently. Let's gently review the entire journey together so you feel the structure clearly in your mind. At check-in, you answer short questions with steady responses. At security, you focus on key action words and follow instructions calmly. At the gate, you listen for destination, flight number, and gate number. During boarding, you confirm your group and line up confidently. Inside the plane, you make simple requests if needed. That is the full airport path in English.
And notice something important. None of this required advanced vocabulary. None of it required complex grammar. What it required was clarity, presence, and willingness to speak.
Now, I want you to imagine yourself at an airport in the future. Instead of feeling tension, you feel prepared. Instead of silence, you speak when necessary. Instead of overthinking, you respond naturally. That transformation begins before you even buy the ticket. It begins with practice.
So here is your challenge. After this episode ends, stand up and say 5 airport sentences out loud as if you are truly there. Use your normal voice. Use your natural breathing. Build familiarity before the real moment arrives.
And tell us in the comments, which part of the airport makes you most nervous? Check-in, security, announcements, or boarding? Your answer helps us design future episodes that match your needs.
If this conversation helped you visualize the airport experience more clearly, join us. Subscribe, become part of this supportive learning space where English is practical and growth feels possible.
In our next episode, we're going to explore hotel English, from checking in at the reception desk to politely handling problems in your room without sounding aggressive or uncomfortable.
You won't want to miss that one.
Remember this. You do not need flawless English to travel. You need brave English. And brave English grows every time you open your mouth and speak.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Safe travels, wherever you're headed.